Macbeth Act 5 gives us a kind of a masterclass in how to wrap things up with maximum excitement. The ending of Macbeth is like a lot of Shakespearean tragedies in that it is kind of a bloodbath. A lot of people die in that, and here in an especially grisly way. But also just the pacing of the drama as it gets laid out is brilliant as an action piece, quite frankly. Accelerating the pace of the drama so that people are on the edge of their seats as it is playing out. You have been seeing so much going on in this play that has been about getting to the end, about jumping to the end, overleaping to the end. And here we are just racing through everything towards into the end. And the effect of this is, I find, really quite dramatic. And the way he is, in movies, in cinema, it would be called cross-cutting, when you're focusing on one thing and then focusing on the other thing and then going back to the third thing. And each of these scenes in Act 5 alternates the location. First, you're focusing on Macbeth in the Dunsinane Castle, and then next scene, you cut to the approaching English forces with Malcolm, and then you cut back to Dunsinane with Macbeth, and then back to the approaching forces, and then always back and forth and back and forth. And throughout, the scenes are getting shorter, where Scene 1 is relatively long. Scene 2 is just a little shorter, and always contracting as you go along, so that the pace is just picking up and sweeping you along to that inevitable end. And that is a way of Shakespeare involving you in the core drama of Macbeth. Macbeth feels like he is a victim of fate in a way, getting swept along, and to make that more of a visceral experience for his audience, he is making that much more shared, much more universal. This is a way to open the themes of this play beyond the core character, because it's very easy to just single out Macbeth and say, oh, bad apple in the bunch, everybody else is fine, no, we got rid of him at the end, we have nothing to worry about. But if you, as an audience member, have been swept along, so curious, wanting to see how it ends, and oh my God, I just got to get to the end of the end of the end. You feel that hunger, you feel that ambition that the character is going through, and an honest reaction to that is to say, well, wait a minute. If I were in his place, would I really be any different? That involves the audience. That cracks this out of the simple description of what Macbeth, a 11th century Scottish nobleman, went through. This is this thriller, cautionary tale, whatever you want to call it, is much more about humanity at large than it is just this one footnote of an historical figure. And that's what makes it, quite frankly, this great epic of the human condition. But look at Act 5, Scene 1. we have just had this heartbreaking scene where where Macduff learns that his family has been killed, and that is a kind of emotionally fraught and devastating scene to watch. So we come back, and it is a very lighter mood. Again, the contrast from one scene to the other, a very different mood going on. And it starts with chit chat between a doctor and the gentlewoman, and attending the royal couple, and they are discussing Lady Macbeth, who has been sleepwalking of late, having some mildly hallucinatory psychotic episodes. And the doctor's first line, beginnings and endings, first line is significant. The doctor says, "I have 2 nights watched with you, but can perceive no truth in your report. When was it she last walked?" Significantly, we are told right at the beginning that the doctor has doubts about what he is hearing. He is being told that Lady Macbeth is sleepwalking, that she seems delusional, but he doesn't have any hard evidence of it. He has no objective, verifiable proof of that. He has been watching, he has not seen it, and so he doubts, which is, of course, exactly what Macbeth fails to do when told of the witches, when told the witches' prophecies. He does not doubt, and that is ultimately his downfall. But we get this report of Lady Macbeth, who has been acting erratically, so that the servants, including the doctor and the gentlewoman, the attendant, are whispering about Lady Macbeth. And this is a important dynamic. When the underclass, let's say, start having their suspicions, start having their doubts, start voicing these doubts and agitating a little bit, like, I don't know about this. This looks really funny. That's when you start to see that Macbeth and Lady Macbeth are in real trouble as leaders. They have lost touch with and control of the broader populace. So that's an interesting dynamic that's being played out just in this. You might just read this and say, okay, a doctor and a gentlewoman are talking. I don't really care what's going on. I don't recognize their names. They don't even have names. Who cares? Well, this is what's being communicated, more than just the words on the page, more than just their speech. This is the message within that you need to read through to understand. It's not the surface, it's the interior. But then Lady Macbeth walks in holding, we are told, a taper, which is a candle. Significant. She is holding a small candle when she has been so associated with darkness throughout. So that's an interesting contrast right there. And she wanders around, and we get a report of her actions discussing her as if she's not even there, or she doesn't seem to be all there, by the doctor and the gentlewoman. The gentlewoman says she has light by her continually, is her command. So we're told that it has become a habit of hers now to demand light around her. Again, deep contrast to everything that we've seen with her before. And the doctor says, "You see her eyes are open." He is again going with objective evidence, what he can see. She responds, "Aye, but their sense are shut." So the appearance that her eyes are open and, oh, okay, she must be fine. No, the exterior appearance and the interior reality are very different, and he is pointing that, or she is pointing this out too. An interesting little side note that it is probably it is the woman here who seems to have the greater sense of the truth of the situation. Shakespeare is always counterbalancing a little bit here. So instead of the purely evil caricature of female perfidiousness in Lady Macbeth, he is countering this with just a small example of a woman who is attentive, intuitive, and perhaps a little concerned about how things are going. Lady Macbeth has this delusional episode where she is pretending to wash her hands, or she is miming the washing of hands, which is, again, sort of a meta thing in theater where you see an actress on stage doing this, you might assume, oh, well, okay, the character is washing her hands. And that hand washing motion is just pretense, because you can't have running water on stage. You got to bring in plumbing. It's a big pain. So this is just what they do. They're pretending in action. But in fact, much like so much else in this play, it is turned on its head and you're not sure if it's real. Is that just her pretending? Is it all in her mind? Is she hallucinating this? Like Macbeth and the dagger, the delusion becomes so real as she focuses on it and narrows down. Out, damn spot, out! I say, 1, 2. Why then 'tis it time to do it? Hell is murky. Fie, my lord, fie! A soldier and a feared. What need we fear? Who knows it? When none can call our power to account, yet. Who would have thought the old man to have had so much blood in him? That last line is a recall to the murder scene. When none can call our power to account, more accounting references there. She seems to be replaying highlights of the previous 4 acts in her head. This very idiosyncratic, fractured pastiche of images and sound come flying out as a kind of montage where she is just dwelling on this because she has been reduced to a kind of madness. And the washing out of the blood is just another element of that, because the blood is a continual reference throughout. Remember, first line of the play, Duncan saying, "What bloody man is that?" The image of Macbeth always covered in blood. So these references to blood are always with us. And here she is trying to wash it off. But of course, the blood is imaginary, but it has taken on a kind of real consequence in her mind, so that the internal meaning of the blood is more significant than any external reality of the blood. And so you can read her washing her hands as just another action of a crazy person, or you can start seeing it as some interior consequences of a mind essentially done in by itself. The doctor's final speech: foul whisperings are abroad, unnatural deeds do breed unnatural troubles, infected minds to their deaf pillows will discharge their secrets, more needs she the divine than the physician. God forgive us all. Look at her. Remove from her the means of all annoyance, and still keep eyes upon her. So good night. My mind she has mated, and amazed my sight. I think, but dare not speak. And the gentlewoman says, "Good night, good doctor," and they all leave. That speech itself is also significant. Beginnings and endings, the final speech. foul whisperings are abroad. He has been hearing from the people that, things are abuzz, and that is a sign of great discontent. That is something that a leader should be aware of, but Macbeth is perhaps separate from. So it's a sign of his vulnerability of a leader. Unnatural deeds do breed unnatural troubles. Unnatural is a significant word. You can use any word in there, weird deeds, wrong deeds, immoral deeds, all of these things, but he goes with unnatural, meaning against nature. It is unnatural to deal with witches. It is unnatural to know the future. And that is a specific bell they are ringing there, because she needs a divine rather than the physician. The divine is, quite frankly, a priest. The divine is a spiritual healer instead of a physical healer, because the physical is what is material, what is outside. The divine is what is inside, the soul. So again, that contrast right there, and that revaluation so that the interior is, in this case, more consequential than the physical reality.